All right, can you hear me okay? Good. It's still a little too quiet? All right, I'll hold it then. How's that? Okay. Um, Welcome. Thanks for having me, and we're excited to talk to you today. My name is Terry Bowling, and I recently joined the Red Hat Satellite Product Management team. So I'm here to talk to you, give you a few highlights of what's been delivered in recent versions, and give you a sneak peek into what's coming soon. With me, I have Chris Henderson, and here, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Chris Henderson. I'm part of the Red Hat Lightspeed product management team. So I'll be talking a little bit about where we're bringing in the satellite from our hosted version of Lightspeed down into satellite.
Thanks, Chris. There we go. So I wanted to introduce you to our entire satellite team. So Rich Giurito, I believe, maybe has presented here in the past over the years. Formerly a solution architect and now product manager, and he's got a lot of deep history with satellite, deep knowledge. So it's awesome working with him. And I have worked with Rich for quite a few years. I started out as a technical account manager with Red Hat and then moved into RHEL product management. So I've actually presented here 3-4 times over the years on RHEL management and installation tools like the RHEL system roles with Ansible or Image Builder, possibly Leap upgrades and convert to RHEL. So up until recently, I had pretty deep on the RHEL product management team. So I still remember 1 or 2 things if you have questions about that. I've also got some spiffy new slides in my back pocket if you have any questions about RHEL later. But for now, we're going to focus on satellite. I just came over to satellite 2 months ago. So for all of you deep expert satellite customers, thank you. We love you. You may know it better than I do. Even though I've been a RHEL PM for a long time and used satellite a little bit, I didn't get as deep into it as I need to get into it, and that I know you probably are as well. So anyway, I'm excited to start coming back again to this area, the MSP rug, on a regular basis, and really talking to you more about what we're doing with satellite, as well as all of the other RHEL management experiences of our tools working together. Also on the team is new to Red Hat, Brian Moore, and he is going to be leading our Lightspeed on premises. Previously, Lightspeed, we recently rebranded Insights to Lightspeed. I'm trying to stop saying Insights, so imagine a virtual jar here. If I say Insights, I got to throw a virtual dollar in the jar. So if you hear me correct myself, or if I say Lightspeed, just remember that's because we renamed Insights. So he's going to be leading up our Lightspeed on-premise, where we're bringing those hosted management experiences down through satellite, and it'll run as a Podman containerized service on your satellite server. Matthew Yee and Mary Mackey are our dynamic duo for marketing. Matthew is our technical marketing manager, and he created 99% of the slides I'm showing you today, and he does a great job. Like, really, he can present this better than I. He knows it extremely well. And he also builds all of our labs. So if you go to Summit and you do the satellite lab, or you use any of the like web hosted lab learning tools for satellite, he built all that. So he knows it really well. But yeah, this is our team. Oh, and Mary handles all of our messaging. So we've got an awesome team, and we're all here to help you. So we really want to expand the influence of satellite. And when I say that, what I really mean is we want to make your lives easier. And satellite exists to make RHEL better. It's all that management experience around how you use it and how we enable you to get your job done and take technical debt off of your shoulders. So those are really the themes of our goal of how we make you and RHEL better. And yeah, so I'm just excited to talk to you today about this stuff. And why won't that move? Okay, so show of hands, who here is a satellite admin or fairly familiar with satellite? Just to get a sense. Okay, so we got a lot of people. Awesome. So just in case you're less familiar with it, Red Hat Satellite is our Red Hat's second oldest product. First there's Red Hat Linux, which evolved to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. But Satellite was the management tool to manage Linux. And so within Red Hat, we've kind of got seniority as far as products go. But it's been around for a long time. Those of you who have used it a lot know that it's had an interesting history and ups and downs, but we're really excited about the state of it today. And yeah, these are the different themes, if you will, of the value, why you probably want satellite, why you're using it. So what exactly is included with your satellite subscription? I wanted to cover this because this has changed recently, and we have some nice new additions. So obviously we have Red Hat Satellite Server, and that's going to provide your on-premise. It can serve disconnected customers, disconnected environments. A lot of our customers are loving the data sovereignty story, that it helps them manage everything that they need on site. And it's also turning into that point of presence that's enabling us to deliver other capabilities, such as the Lightspeed service capabilities on premise, as well as even like RHEL's command line assistance and things like that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more today. And then Red Hat Capsule Server, that is what helps us scale. So you can have a satellite server and multiple capsules, and that's going to help you achieve the scalability of the number of clients or distribute across different physical locations. The new stuff that some of you might be less familiar with is, again, with that disconnected and data sovereignty story. We now have the offline knowledge portal, and that's only delivered through satellite. So again, that's another containerized service, but it allows you to take the entire Red Hat customer portal. When you go to open a support case and they direct you to read a knowledge article or something like that, you can now pull that all down. So if you have a disconnected environment, it's big. Granted, it's a lot of data, a lot of documentation, a lot of knowledge articles and things like that. So it is big, but it allows you to have that on premise. So all of your local employees could access that inside your own environment without going outside the network. So again, that's really popular for our disconnected customers who they need like troubleshooting information and things like that. And so the ability to sync that down has been requested for a long time, and we're excited to finally deliver that. And you only get that with your satellite subscription. Next is the offline command line assistant. So the command line assistant is new, and it's a feature created by the RHEL team, and it gives you basically an AI-like chat client locally there. So it is also containerized, so you can pull down this container, and then you can have an AI-powered command line assistant chat tool. So you can say, hey, I have this storage device, help me identify its block ID or something like that. And using natural human language, ask it questions. We're also building in some guardrails to make sure that, like, if you say, hey, show me the commands to make this thing stop, it's not going to do like a RM/star, classic example. So they're actually building in some guardrails to teach it to be smart, to do no harm. But with satellite, what this means is now you can bring that down offline in a disconnected environment as well. And it's going to bring down that trained LLM that's being trained with like the RHEL documentation, the man tools, the info tools, or content, all of that kind of documentation-y type stuff, as well as other trained behaviors such as the guardrails, do no harm kind of topic. So we're bringing that because if you use this on RHEL today, that RHEL instance needs to be registered to talk to Lightspeed. I almost said Insights, but I didn't. Lightspeed, because basically that's how it talks to Red Hat Management hosted and is able to access that LLM. But with satellite, you could bring that down. You can only do that with satellite, and then you could have a locally running command line assistant that isn't calling back home. So again, great for those disconnected customers. Really quickly, who here is still on satellite 6.16? Not the one here, but the previous version. Anyone? It's okay, there's no shame. So that is currently an EUS release,
I think so.
or ELS? EUS, I think. Failing my test. Live. This is recorded. So 6.16 is our EUS release. So if you need to sit on a release a little bit longer before you can upgrade, 6.16 is your current release. That's going to change soon. We're going to be announcing some more details at Summit, so stay tuned. Now, we're on a 6-month cadence, so all of these minor releases of satellite is coming tick-tock every 6 months. We call them the spring and fall releases, which usually falls around May and November. That's not like written in stone, but that's the cadence that seems to be working really well. And it's really close to RHEL's tick-tock cadence as well. So it kind of works nicely that we're very aligned in that regard. So if you upgraded to 6.17, which is now end of life, I guess. So you're still supported, of course, but if you needed a bug fix or a security patch, you would need to upgrade to a newer version in order to get that, because we're not releasing updates to 6.17. If there is a critical security vulnerability, something like that, we would absolutely backport that to 6.16, because that is the long-term extended update support EUS release. So 6.17 and 6.18 are the shorter lifecycle releases. Oh yeah, let me go back to 6.17. So for those of you who might still be on it or just now upgrading to it, that was the first release that was able to support managing or provisioning RHEL 10 nodes. We included the ability to host Flatpak content. Flatpaks are the new container-like desktop application type thing. There's like a Flatpak store, or not store, they call it a hub, but it's a way that you can have like a store, iPhone store-like experience, browse the different user applications and download those. So things like web browsers, more RHEL workstation type tools are going to be delivered as Flatpaks. That's probably not what most of you are dealing with. You're probably mostly dealing with servers, but I just wanted to mention that in case you are unfamiliar with Flatpaks. We started enabling some secure boot, first support for RHEL image mode. I think Ben Briard was here a few, 6 months ago or something like that, and presented on bootable containers, also known as RHEL image mode. And so satellite can help support that. We have a full satellite registry or container registry that if you're using RHEL image mode, you can store those images in satellite, and then we're going to enable you soon to be able to provision those from satellite. So like satellite could provision RHEL image mode to a virtual machine running in the cloud or on OpenShift Vert or on VMware or even bare metal. So again, satellite's going to be the best experience to provision RHEL. And then that's when we saw our first release of Insights Advisor. So I'm going to hand it over to Chris in just a moment, and he's going to talk a lot about the Lightspeed, formerly Insights. I was reading it on the slide. That one's not my fault, so I'm not putting $1 in the jar. 6.18. So this came out, I should add the time frames. 18 would have been November of last year of 24. What year is it?
25.
Of 25. November of 25. And so this included, again, more awesomeness that Chris is going to talk to you about. And content management. We introduced rolling content views. So now if you want a content view that's always just going to be synchronizing the latest and greatest, like you have somebody that wants to drink from the fire hose of, give me every update as soon as it's released. That's what those rolling content views are, and it makes it a little bit easier for when you're updating and distributing very current content. So as a former sysadmin guy for telecom and pharmaceutical, drinking from the fire hose is a big no-no. It's like, no. We want to control which and when content flows into our environment. So who is paying for satellite but wants rolling content views? Well, it's all those users that are using satellite to provide that controlled content story through to their build pipeline of containers or other build, agile build workflows. And they actually do want to do some testing and automation of the latest and greatest. So developers and people that are, just doing much more faster agile development or deployments, proof of concepts, that was surprisingly a very high in demand feature. So we're glad to finally add that. I mentioned the satellite container registry, and we began to introduce the Model Context Protocol MCP server. Is anybody familiar with using any of these MCP server thingies? 1, 2.
I heard MCP's over. It's done.
MCP Builder?
Yeah, no, it's over. Just got to start updating. It moved on.
Oh.
New technology.
Buzzword of the day, right? I've been around a while, so I've gone through a lot of them. So anyway, we're going to be talking more about that because we have one, because it's cool, it's trendy, right? No, seriously, we're really excited about what that's going to unlock for us. Right now, you have to use the acronym to talk about it, so we're tired of hearing about it, right? I think that's a sentiment that I'm taking from that exchange anyway, is MCP AI for everything. But when we actually demonstrate the cool stuff you can do with it, I'm thinking, oh yeah, when I was an admin and trying to roll out a bunch of servers, I would have loved that ability. So we're really excited about telling you more about that. Okay, I'm going to move on. 6.19. So this is our latest release coming up in May. I had to think again what month it is. So this is just 6 weeks out, 6 to 8 weeks. So you're going to see the vulnerability Lightspeed service is now generally available. Again, I'm just going to hand this over to you in a moment. And yeah, more MCP stuff. And what you'll see is 4 categories here. So I want to touch on this too. So with the release of 6.19 and going forward, we're kind of thinking of 4 themes, 4 pillars, or areas of focus. And those are going to be analytics and knowledge. So you're going to see a whole lot more integration with MCP and AI and other cool stuff. But also the other things I talked about earlier, such as the knowledge portal and the disconnected command line assistant, those things. That's where we're bringing that knowledge to you. And then with the Lightspeed integration brings a whole lot more analytics capabilities. Next up is content distribution and patching. This has been a foundational feature of satellite for forever, and probably what almost all of you are using it for. So that's an important pillar. Provisioning. This is something we also want to more clearly identify and especially identify what we are going to focus on and what we're not. So we really want to make sure that we have a very complete and robust provisioning story for RHEL on all of the certified platforms that RHEL runs on. So that means, of course, provisioning to bare metal. We work very closely with our partners such as Dell to make sure their hardware is enabled. And there's a whole lot of discussions about, oh, hey, the industry is wanting to remove like BIOS from firmware of, the hardware, the machines booting up. And there's a trend to remove the PIXI capabilities from network interface cards. Because everybody's kind of going to UEFI and Redfish and boot to HTTPD. So we have all of those conversations 5 years ago. And the way we work with these partners is, they're focused on their new hardware and they're like, hey, we need to take this technical debt off. We don't want to maintain that, blah, blah, blah. And then we respond and say, hey, we have this many customers that still depend on that. And we need a longer period of time to help our customers, ramp down and replace the rest of their infrastructure and management tools so that they can better handle the UEFI stuff. Because before Redfish was even a finalized protocol for the remote management, the lights out style remote management, we were already getting requests to say, hey, we want to go ahead and remove the old way because we have the new way. And that's where we step in for you and we say, the RHEL business unit steps in and says, no, you can't immediately take it away. Our customers still depend on that for their existing provisioning. We need time to kind of phase things in and phase things out. So those are the kinds of ways that we're working really closely with our partners on, and those literally, I was in conversations about that leading up to RHEL 8. So a whole lot of questions about BIOS and PIXI in the firmwares on the hardware a long time ago. So we've really been trying to help prepare that experience for you. Okay, so provisioning to OpenShift container platform, OpenShift Vert. As well as VMware and Nutanix is going to be coming up in the future. So Nutanix, VMware, very well established. I'm not even going to ask for a show of hands, but I am curious, how many of you now are using Nutanix and think satellite provisioning to Nutanix will be helpful? Anyone? Well, let's keep that. Okay, so you're using Nutanix now? And you would like satellite to work with it. Okay. I started to back up there and say, first, how many people do we have using Nutanix? And then add the satellite question. So any other Nutanix users? No? Okay. A little bit, maybe experimenting, proof of concept or something. So we've gotten a lot of requests for it. It's basically a version of libvirt. We should be able to do it easily. So we're finally going to do that because they're like a separate type of certification, but technically they're kind of certified. So we're supporting them too. Okay, so and of course our hardware, bare metal provisioning, the on-premise hypervisors, and cloud gets a little bit tricky because like AWS, Azure, Google, and now Oracle are all certified cloud platforms. But that's where we're leaning a little bit more into Ansible for our provisioning of the cloud and non-standard or non-certified platforms. So like DigitalOcean or Linode, if you wanted to deploy to some of those cloud platforms, just use the Ansible modules or collections. So we're leaning a little bit more into Ansible for those. We do still have some provisioning to the clouds, but we're still figuring out how to deal with that versus just fully recommend Ansible. Okay, so that was really the meat of it. The rest of the slides go into a little bit more details on each one. So first, I want to hand it over to Chris to talk to you about Lightspeed.
All right, so show of hands again. How many people are using Red Hat Lightspeed, formerly Insights? Got a few. Okay. So what we've been doing, yep, there we go. Starting with the 6.17 release, I think I came here shortly after that one to talk about Advisor that we had brought down into satellite. For a lot of customers have disconnected environments, right? They can't connect up and send the telemetry that we need up to console, right? So we've started to move some of those Lightspeed services into satellite so that those customers can have that on-prem and get the value of that. So we started off with our Advisor service that is now GA'd. So you get the recommendations for performance, stability. There's some security hardening within that recommendations. So that was a good value. We brought in our vulnerability, currently tech preview, our vulnerability service. It will be GA with 6.18. So with our vulnerability service, that really helps you with your vulnerability management. Let's say, a new branded CVE comes out, starts hitting the news, and your boss is like, what's our exposure to this CVE? You can go into the vulnerability interface and search for that CVE and find out all the systems in your environment, all your RHEL systems that are vulnerable to that particular CVE. You could do filtering, like I just want to know all of my critical and important CVEs, or my InfoSec team is interested in everything that's got a CVSS score of 7 or above. I can give them a report, a CSV file of that. You can go in from the system view. You're interested in a particular system. What CVEs do I have? What all is this system vulnerable to, right? Maybe it's my critical system and I need to know that. So you can help kind of triage what you're doing, what your vulnerability response is going to be. We also do things like if there's a known exploit, we will mark that CVE so that you can filter on anything with a known exploit. So, anything that's critical with a known exploit, right? You want to get that done ASAP. So it's really to help you manage your vulnerability and help prioritize your response. So in the 6.18 version that's just coming out, we added a lot of the features that are in our hosted environment have come down to that version. Along with that, we have also added in the RBAC from satellite. So the satellite RBAC, you can apply permissions into our vulnerability service. So let's say there's people that should only be able to see the vulnerabilities on certain systems, in your host groups. That same sort of RBAC will apply to the vulnerability that you maybe apply to patching and that other stuff. So we brought that in as part of our GA, and you can also enable or disable vulnerability management. Maybe you've got some systems that shouldn't be, thrown into your security metrics. Maybe for some reason you need to exclude them. You can do that now as well. You can also, if you know that, hey, this system has got this vulnerability on it, but we've got some controls around it, so our risk is lower. You can edit. We have a field called the business risk, so you can edit it and say, no, in our business, this is a lower risk, so that maybe I manage it differently. I don't have to rush out and patch it right away. You can also set a status. So if you've got a workflow or you want to create a workflow where maybe I have reviewed this CVE, you can set that status as reviewed. You could also set the status as scheduled for remediation and put some notes in that Tuesday night we were going to be remediating this, so that you can report on that later. So there's a lot of functionality within the vulnerability service, and we're finally bringing that on premise to customers that can't connect out to the SaaS service. And we'll continue to bring down our Red Hat Lightspeed services. We've got a compliance service that will eventually make it into satellite, that really helps out with those, maybe you've got CIS level benchmark 2 that you need to comply with, and our compliance service really helps you understand that from a holistic state rather than this server and then this server and this server. We aggregate that all up and kind of can give you much better reporting on that. So that'll be coming, in the future, and we'll just keep bringing down our services into this on-premise version. So every release you'll see something new, or should see something new there. Yeah. Any questions about Red Hat Lightspeed? Anybody think that that'll be interesting in the future? Yeah. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I know we've presented on Insights Lightspeed many times here in the past over the years. How many of you were always interested in some of the management features but never felt like you could use it with your environment because of concerns about uploading data? So I see one hand. I know it's been a concern expressed here and with almost every customer, that's something they're concerned with, but we're really trying to get a sense that like now that we can bring it down onto your satellite server, if that's going to increase your ability to be able to use that, and if you're excited about what it offers. So I don't know, would it be helpful for us to come back and do like a deep dive in some of those services and like actually demo how they're using and the problems that they can solve for you? Would that be helpful? Can you think of anything else you want to say or ask?
I think that kind of covers it.
All right, we'll move on. And actually, I think I need to wrap up because give Ken some time. We have a half hour left, is that right? Yeah. Okay, so let me just cover a few slides. I'm going to skip some of these, I'm sorry. Again, back to the MCP server and that tie-in to AI. So the way the satellite team are thinking about this is customers feel the pain when the satellite server is not working because you come to depend on it for your management and provisioning workflows and patching and all of these really important things. So we know how disruptive it can be for you to your business if it's not working or not working correctly. So we are seeing a whole lot of promises with MCP and AI. However, we want you to know that we're easing into this from a very responsible point of view, and that we're thinking, how do we do this in a way that has the proper guardrails? And first, let's just focus on bringing the knowledge to you and making you a super admin. Our plans are not at all to say, hey, we're going to have an AI fully automated management system. Like we don't get the feeling that that's anywhere in the near future possible, because there's just too many variables of things that can go wrong when your environment probably depends on a whole lot of standard operating environment configurations. And if any of those are off, then either things are getting flagged by security audits or things just stop working. So we're focused a little bit more on how can we make your day-to-day usage of satellite easier. And so we do have a satellite MCP server. We just had a blog post published this week. We'll have our contact info later if you want to give us, I know it's old school, but if you want to give us a card or take one of ours, figure out a way we can send you some links or just Google it. We have a whole bunch of blog posts that are going to walk you through how what this is, the benefits, and how do you install it and use it. So we have a satellite MCP server, we have a RHEL MCP server, along with the command line assistant in RHEL. Lightspeed has an MCP server, Ansible has an MCP server, and those are not AI in and of themselves. What they are is they make it really easy to communicate with the APIs that already exist and tell the system to do things with natural human language. So for example, let's see, So here are a few prompt examples. Operation, user asks the LLM via the MCP client, add this Red Hat security advisory 2025 1234. An example, just an example, to patch any content views which don't have it. So it's kind of awkward how that's written, but it's like, hey, my boss, when he was having his coffee this morning, reading the news on his phone, this security vulnerability is everywhere. So now they're wanting a report by this afternoon or 10 a.m. or something, so that we can be able to say, how does this impact us? How vulnerable are we to it? And so to be able to have that conversation with the chat client and ask your satellite server, hey, how many systems are affected by this? Go ahead and build a content view that includes it. Associate that content view with all the hosts that need it. Let me review the changes. And when I'm comfortable with it and we report it within our organization, what we're doing, we plan patch outages, then we'll follow our normal patching processes to do all that. Or we're working with like Ansible and integrating with their event-driven automation EDA. So be able to have that ability to say, hey, this new vulnerability came out, this number of systems are affected, go ahead and generate a report and do whatever with it. Go ahead and send an email for review to communicate in your organization, or have a discussion, or be prepared for that 10 a.m. call when your director asks, hey, what's up with this? And you could say, we've already got a report. And so to empower you to be that super admin that like next to zero effort, you've got that knowledge at your fingertips. So anyway, a few other examples. I won't talk through them all, but that was the example that I've been using for a long time and have been a little bit better versed in it. Okay, so I'm going to skip through some of this because we just don't have time. Multi-content views. You might be interested in this. This allows you can now associate multiple content views with a host or an activation key. So if you're doing in-place upgrades from 8 to 9, you could now associate an additional content view, RHEL 9, to that RHEL 8 system to prepare it for that upgrade process, and then remove the old RHEL 8 from the activation key when you're finished. So it just gives you a whole lot more flexibility in how you can associate different content sets. The old way was you would need every single combination to find, which took a whole lot more time syncing and all of that stuff. And I think that's all we have time to cover right now. We have a whole lot of other topics. We have a future roadmap that we're going to really be focusing on a tremendous amount of demand for post-quantum cryptography and data sovereignty. So those are going to be two very important themes that we decided to prioritize and do sooner, which meant that a few things had to move to the right column. And we're hoping to move a little bit of that from the right back over to the left, but our engineers are really figuring out how do we do the post-quantum cryptography and how do we containerize satellite and get that working within a RHEL 10 container. So we're figuring all that out. Now, before anyone worries too much about containerizing satellite, what does that mean? It means initially we're just going to containerize all the components. You'll still have similar commands on how to install or upgrade a satellite server. And we're going to take care of all of the things related to the fact that it's now containerized. But it's going to run on a RHEL host with Podman and Podlets. So it'll just run just like it does now, a collection of services running together in a coordinated manner. But we're just going to be moving to that. So it's a little, some of these two columns here on the right are a little bit fuzzy. So don't hold me accountable on timing or anything, but we definitely wanted to let you know the direction of how we're thinking and let you know not to fear the containerization thing. We know most of our sysadmins using satellite are not Kubernetes container experts. We expect you to be a traditional Linux admin with maybe some container knowledge, maybe none. So we're going to take care of you and make sure that that is seamless. So other than the containerization and the post-quantum, the PQC stuff, the rest of the architecture is the same. We're not changing databases, things like that. We're not making fundamental changes to those services. So if you had past less than optimal experiences with satellite 5 to 6 upgrades, that will not repeat. So that has been a very high priority for us. So should be a really nice smooth upgrade, and you're going to get a tremendous amount more flexibility. Okay, with that, I need to stop and give Ken some time. Sorry if I went over, Ken. Chris and I will be in the back and hanging around for a while after Ken is all done. Ken and I are now like siblings in our team. His product is a sibling next to mine, and again, we're both here to make RHEL better. So he's got some cool stuff to talk about. Thank you very much.